Hello everyone, welcome back to Easy Education London, and this is our complete walkthrough of the English Literature exam for Paper 1 and Paper 2, which you all will be sitting in the next week or two. Now, we have received many requests to go through the walkthrough, providing top tips, so grab your pens and get ready to make some important notes. Now, starting off with Paper 1, what is Paper 1 about? Paper 1, as you can see, it does state in the exam paper front page, you will have an exam on Shakespeare, okay, and a 19th century text. So your school will have covered one Shakespeare text and a 19th century novel. So that would be Paper 1, and the exam will be, in fact, 1 hour 45 minutes. So if you're still unsure what this means, I will show you in terms of what question you'll be answering, as you'll be surprised. Some students are making mistakes in the exam, in the real exam, and they end up answering the wrong question. So it's important that you read the instructions carefully. Now, the maximum mark for this paper is in fact 64. So that's something for you to remember. And AO4 will be assessed in section A. So assessment objective 4, that covers your range of vocabulary, your sentence structures for clarity, purpose and effect, with accurate spelling and punctuation. So that would be for section A. And then section B is worth 30 marks. So section A in total is 34 marks, because you get 4 marks for AO4, as you can see from the instructions, whereas section B, you don't get marks for AO4, so it's just 30 marks. Now, if you do the maths very quickly, 30 plus 34. Now, you should know this. If not, you may want to grab a calculator. But even grabbing a calculator, I'll be quite shocked, to be honest, because you all have your maths exams fast approaching. Now, 30 at 34, that's a really tough question. 64, right? Now, if it's out of 64, this exam, your English Literature first paper, Paper 1, you are only answering, so I'll do that in red, only 2 questions. Okay, think about it. After 2 years of studying all these different texts and spending hours and hours and hours revising, you will only have 2 exam questions. So let's have a look at it in further detail. Now, as I've stated previously, there's only 2 sections, section A and section B. Now, in terms of section A, okay, you are choosing just 1 question. Now, depending on your school, for Shakespeare, you've got Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, The Tempest, etc. You would know whichever one you studied, you will need to find the question and the page number. So the most popular one, especially in the UK, we study Macbeth, and if you are studying Macbeth, you only have 1 question to answer, which is question 1, and you'll find that on pages 4 to 5. So that is your section A complete. And section B, okay, same concept. You are only answering 1 question, but this time it's a 19th century novel, okay? And these are the options you have. You have Jekyll and Hyde, A Christmas Carol, etc. Again, a popular text that schools do cover in the UK is A Christmas Carol. So if you are studying A Christmas Carol, that's on question 8, page 14. So 2 questions, okay, very straightforward. So you're writing 2 essays. So let's dive in and let's have a look at some past paper questions. Then I can provide you with some top tips and everything you need to know for this exam. So let's go on to page 4. Okay, so right, as you can see, let me just zoom out. This is the question from Macbeth. So question 1, as stated, it reads, read the following extract from Act 5, Scene 1 of Macbeth, and then answer the question that follows. At this point in the play, the doctor and the gentlewoman watch Lady Macbeth sleepwalking. So what you need to do is, when you are reading the extract, you need to annotate the keywords, the key phrases, the language, the structure, the form, etc. And then you have the question on the next page, literally the following page. So it reads, Lady Macbeth is a female character who changes during the play. Starting with this moment in the play, explore how far you agree with this view. Write about how Shakespeare presents Lady Macbeth in this extract, and how far Shakespeare presents Lady Macbeth as a female character who changes in the play as a whole. So it's worth 30 marks and you get 4 marks for your AO4. So how do we break down this question? Okay, so it's quite simple. We are looking for you to write at least 2 paragraphs for the first bullet point. Okay, and 2 paragraphs for the second bullet point. Okay, so in total, how many paragraphs are you writing? You are writing 4 paragraphs in total. Now, just to go over some top tips in terms of how to approach this question and how to maximize your marks, you need to be aware of the assessment objectives. So AO1, AO2, and AO3. And each one is assessing a specific criteria. So you need to basically, before going into the exam, be familiar with AO1, AO2, and also AO3. So what do they mean by AO1, AO2, and AO3? So AO1, in simple terms, is your critical, exploratory, conceptualized response to the task and the whole text. So you basically need to have a judicious use of precise references to support your interpretation. So that's what it states in the mark scheme. So you may wonder, but sir, what does this mean? So this means you explore different aspects of the question with a range of well-chosen quotations. Remember that. And you need to have a good introduction which states your overall view, and you then need to go on to explore that viewpoint. So that's AO1 summarized for you. AO2 is the analysis of the writer's methods with subject terminology used judiciously. Exploration of effects of writer's methods, techniques on the reader. So what does this mean? It means you discuss the writer and what he or she has done and how we respond. You must use quotations to support this. Very important. You'll be surprised the number of students who forget to support this with quotations. And finally, AO3, it's a last assessment objective. It's the exploration of ideas, perspectives, contextual factors shown by specific, detailed links between the context, text, and task. What this means is you should show excellent knowledge of the context, and context is anything which gives meaning to what you are reading. Do not think context is just historical facts, okay? So discuss the context of the characters, what is happening to them, and how and why they are acting in this way. Also, how and why we react to it as readers or members of the audience. And if you are answering the question, you are discussing context. So that's something for you to remember. Now, if you require extra help, if you want that extra boost to help you achieve the highest possible grades and marks, do consider joining our online classes at Easy Education London, where classes are taught by UK qualified and experienced teachers. We go through model answers, we provide constructive feedback, we provide predicted questions and model answers as well. So our spaces are extremely limited. So if you are interested, do consider joining and contact us today via our email, which is easyeducationlondon@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can visit our website for more information, which is www.easyeducationlondon.com. Now, moving on, so that's AO1, AO2, AO3. It's very important you are familiar with this. Now, you might think, hang on, what is AO4 here? You might think, how do I get 4 out of 4? So in simple terms, what students need to do here is they need to spell and punctuate with consistent accuracy and consistently using vocabulary and sentence structures to achieve effective control of meaning. Okay, so your SPAG essentially needs to be immaculate here. Okay, so just some top tips for you for the question and how long you should spend, etc. How long are you spending on this question? Roughly, I would say around 45 minutes to 50 minutes. Okay, so that's the time you should spend on this question, and read the question carefully and make sure you do address it in your response. One thing that I recommend as well prior to you answering the question is to plan. Okay, so always take some time out to plan your question because that will help you write the best possible answer. And have a brief introduction which summarizes clearly your argument or your answer. And use quotations from the extract. And remember to identify the language features, your verbs, your adverbs, your similes, your metaphors accurately. And also explain the effect of the language features on the audience clearly, because that's how you'll get high marks. And use quotations you have memorized from elsewhere in the play to allow you to discuss the play as a whole. And the questions might ask you how far you think, which invites you to give your opinion, but also explore different possible viewpoints without completely contradicting yourself. So that's something that I would advise you all to do. So essentially, just to summarize, you're looking to write 4 paragraphs for this question, 2 for the first bullet point, 2 for the second one. And remember, you need to learn your quotes prior to you going into the exam, because that will give you an advantage, and try to learn a variety of quotes or a range of quotes. So that will help you answer this question. So I hope that gives you all a better understanding of Section A for Literature Paper 1. Now, moving on, if you do have any questions, please do let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share, as we have plenty more exciting videos on the way. Now, we do have a social media platform. If you do want to have a look, do check out our channels, which is at Easy Education London on all social media platforms. Now, moving on to paper 1, section B. So I'm just going to move on to section B. So, by the way, so these are still the questions from section A, which you are not doing, so you can just skip it. Section B is your 19th century novel, so I will skip to A Christmas Carol. The only reason is that's one of the most popular texts, and that's the one I'm currently teaching as well to majority of my students. Now, there we go. So this is section B. Now, section B, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Read the following extract from chapter 3 of A Christmas Carol and then answer the question that follows. In this extract, the ghost of Christmas present is about to leave Scrooge. So you need to read and annotate this extract. Super important. Don't leave it blank. Look at the keywords, the key phrases, anything to do with language, anything to do with structure. Super, super important. So question 8 reads the following. Starting with this extract, explore how Dickens presents the suffering of the poor in A Christmas Carol. Write about how Dickens presents the suffering of the poor in this extract, how Dickens presents the suffering of the poor in the novel as a whole. So again, this is worth 30 marks, okay? But this time what you've realized, I'm going to just use the highlighter here, is that there's no marks for AO4. And similarly, you've got these 2 bullet points provided, right? So for you to get the highest marks, again, just a rule of thumb for you to follow, you're looking for 2 paragraphs here for the first bullet point and 2 paragraphs for the second one. So the first bullet point is based on the extract, so you need to find your quotes that you'll use to support and show how it presents the suffering of the poor. Very important. The second part is the novel as a whole, so you need to have quotes already memorized from your previous studies that you'll use to support this answer. Now, the same assessment objectives you need to consider, AO1, AO2 and AO3. Okay, so when you are writing your answer, make sure you are writing an answer that is tailored and meeting the requirements of AO1, AO2, AO3. That way, you can ensure that the examiner will allow you to achieve the highest marks possible. Now, the question is, how do I approach this section? Again, to be honest, it's very similar to section A. So in terms of your marks, assessment objectives, remember you should spend around 45 to 50 minutes to write on this question. So that's something for you to remember. Now, I would say, in terms of the question, you need to highlight the keywords. Whenever you look at an exam question, look at the keyword, the suffering of the poor, okay? The suffering of the poor. So these are things that you need to pick out and identify, because the quotes you pick need to essentially reflect that. And read the extract carefully with the question in mind and highlight the key quotes. So when you go when you are initially reading the extract, you'll find some key quotes. So make sure you highlight them because you'll need them later on. Have an introduction which briefly summarizes your answer. Use quotations from the extract and also ones you have learned. And pick out key language features such as techniques, your similes, your metaphors, or your patterns of keyword types, for example, your verbs and adjectives. And most importantly, discuss the effect the writer's words have on the reader and include any relevant context, historical or literary, which helps you answer the question. And context should help explain why the writer has written the text in a certain way. So that's something that I would tell you to do, and also elaborate in further detail. Now, many of you ask, hang on, so what do you mean by context and how can this help me? So context is any extra information which can make sense of a quotation or add to its meaning. So context can include the context of the whole text. So for example, the examiners loved this more than any other kind. Just comment on how your quotation fits with other parts of the play. For example, in Macbeth, Lady Macbeth's early dominance and power can be contrasted to her later scenes when all this has gone. There's another type of context, which is historical context, which is this is any background knowledge which helps explain the text and its meaning. For example, when Macbeth is described as Bellona's bridegroom, it helps us to know that Bellona was the Roman goddess of war. Therefore, Macbeth is being described as warlike, but also godlike. Do not put in historical knowledge for the sake of it, and avoid writing sentences beginning in Shakespeare's day. And another type of context, so the third type, is literary context. Think how the novel, poem, or play fits into a tradition of writing. For example, the poet might be writing a sonnet, and so are using the rules of sonnet writing, which go back many years. And if you can show knowledge of this tradition and why the poet might be writing in this style, this can impress the examiner. And several of your poems are from the Romantic period. It helps to know what Romantic poetry tended to consist of, but only if it leads to a better answer. So that's something for you to remember. Now, what are some key themes for you to revise and go through, especially for Macbeth? Kingship, masculinity, femininity, loyalty and friendship, the supernatural, madness and guilt, the tragic hero, and regicide as well. So these are some areas for you to explore in further detail. So I hope this has given you all a better understanding of how to approach and prepare for English Literature Paper 1, which is literally around the corner. And I hope this has given you a better insight and understanding and clarity in terms of how to prepare. So if you need to prepare, make sure you go over this video, make notes, etc., because it's really important that you are well organized and prepared. Learn your quotes, work on your time management. I can't stress this enough because many students do struggle with the time. And what I would say best approach now is to go through some past paper questions and looking at some model answers as well. And learn the mark scheme. I can't stress this enough. If you want to achieve the highest possible marks, learn the mark scheme, become familiar with it. And you'll be surprised the number of students who are not aware of the assessment objectives and the number of paragraphs you should be writing. So just to summarize, 1 hour 45 for this exam. You're looking at 50 minutes each for each question, 50 minutes for section A, 50 minutes for section B. That would take you to, I believe, 1 hour 40, and then you have 5 minutes remaining. Now, that 50 minutes, by the way, includes the reading for the extract and your writing, okay? So if you think about it technically, right, you are looking essentially 10 to 15 minutes of reading time for each section, and then around 30 minutes or half an hour for you to write and finish your answer. That's just if it's up to you, your preference, then you can do that. If not, you can tweak it slightly based on what you prefer. Now, if you did stay until the end, if you can comment literature paper 1, I am ready. So I know that you stayed until the end, just to see how many of you really stayed until the end. And if you did stay until the end, Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. We do have plenty more exciting videos on the way, so do make sure you subscribe, like and share with your family and friends, as it does help our channel grow, and it allows us to create further videos and exciting videos as well. And that is it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share for more. Thank you.